Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you are doing great. Today, Nelly and I, we are back with another wonderful episode, in our series, Our Children, Their Safety. Right, we've been talking about how do we safeguard our children, how do we want the best for our children, raising awareness around child protection, and even about boosting our own confidence as parents. So today we will be talking about an interesting topic, which I think if you are a parent, you should or at least should have that concern in your mind. I was just talking to Nelly a few minutes ago that I, for one, I've got like 10,001 worries about my children and their future. So, yes, we live in a very difficult society, a difficult world where, of course, there are many concerns as parents. And it is very important that we talk about it because if we don't talk about it, we may not find solutions to it. So, for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Peggy Barre. I am a survivor empowerment coach and founder of Arise and Thrive Academy. And I'm just going to pass you to Nelly to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nelly Kwasungwi, and I'm a transformational life coach and director for a CIC Hand in Hand community. So, today we will be talking about our children, their safety, and it's about the worries. So, as a parent, as a mother, there's so many things that I say that I worry about, not just my children, my role as a social worker and as a coach. There are so many things that I worry about.
Very important point.
And I've been thinking a lot about the future. If things don't change now, what are the future of our children going to look like? And it's not to put an expectation on the children to change things because they themselves they don't know what is going on. So I put the responsibility on us parents because we have more knowledge about what is going on than our children. So
Mhm.
it is our responsibility as parents to start taking action. No one needs to think that, oh, I failed my children or it's too late. No, there's a starting point anywhere you find yourself, and that's just okay. So that's what we'll be talking about today, worries about our children's future. So over to you, Peggy.
Yeah, so what you said, Nelly, I think one thing that we is very, very important is not about blaming ourselves as parents
No.
because to be honest with you, I always say parenting is like a sea. You navigating, you just swimming through. There's sometimes that is very, very it's massive. There are a lot of challenges within that parenting hood itself, which sometimes you cannot get it 100% right all the time. And I always say we need to have grace. We need to be proud of ourselves, of what we are doing, how far we've come. So it's all about what can we do, because knowledge is key. If we are aware of some of the challenges, which of course you and I, we know those challenges, but then it's how confident we are to actually find or seek solutions or have some clarity about some of those challenges, so that in that way we can actually help our children in the best way we can as parents. So I think that is a key. So, yes, we've got a few lists. We're just going to roll into it. We've got a few lists. And whether you're watching live or you're watching later, we would love you to participate. If you're online, if you join us, we would love you to participate. Ask any questions so that we can all roll with the chat. So, I think, Nelly, one of the fears, I'm just going to speak from my heart, as a parent. One of the fears that I have as a parent to my three children, in as much as I do my best at home to make sure that I give them the best, I make sure to make home comfortable for them and all of that. But there are certain things that they may not be comfortable to share, or comfortable to speak up. And that may result to them holding it in, or it may result to mental health. I don't know, but I just feel that one of the big concern is mental health. Let me just go straight to the point. Mental health is one of the big concerns. Yeah.
Yeah, mental health is a big concern. And I just want to pick up on what you said before.
Mhm.
A lot of the times, us as parents, we want to take the pain away from our children. And
Mm.
that is why we want to do everything for our children. However, when we do that, we are depriving our children the opportunity to explore and experiment life. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that as parents, we don't care for our children, but it's for us to allow our children to explore, because life, there's a misconception about life because we see life, or the way we were brought up, or the way society thinks about life is it's a bed of roses. You just come on earth here to enjoy. But actually, when you look at the deeper meaning of life, is for us to make a change, a
Mhm.
positive change from what we have met. So then,
Yeah.
to make those changes, we'll come across challenges, difficulties. So, just before we came on, I read a quote from someone say, teach children how to deal with disappointment, not to
Mm.
keep them away from it. And it
Yeah.
came so timely because that's so, so powerful. So, just going to the aspect of mental health, thinking of our community, the Afro Caribbean community, growing up until date is still a taboo subject to talk about mental health, emotional well beings in the community or in households. So then,
Mhm.
if a child is struggling because, okay, say at home, parents are having fights, they're having arguments, they're not talking to each other, they're having disagreements, and the children are observing that. Then the children go to school with their friends. They are struggling because I'm focusing here on teenagers because they are at that complex developmental stage where they are trying to know their identity. So then, with so much going on, they don't know who they are, they don't know where they belong. And then the parent is trying to confine them or tell them that they need to do this, not that, and things like that. So it is
Mm.
adding to the pressure. And if a child tries to speak to the parent, which it will take courage if the parent has not made the child comfortable to share with them, the child will struggle. And if the child doesn't feel comfortable to open up to the parent, then
Mm.
they will manage with themselves and then look for help from their friends, which in that process of trying to process what is going on, there's a lot of mental and emotional aspects going on. So then, if he doesn't have that support, it
Mm.
is highly likely that he will look for support somewhere, because you can only hold things so much for so long. It can't go on
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a massive topic. Do you want me to
It
go
is.
on? Because
It
there's
is. It
so
is.
much
Yeah.
that I want to talk about. So,
Yeah.
like now, we look at the way the society is going. Our children are learning to get instant gratification.
Mhm.
And they have learned this from observation from us parents, because parents have grown out of patience. So then, children, when they want something, they want it there and then. Because it doesn't just start when the children are older, it starts when the children are younger. Because
Mhm.
parents have their insecurities and they want to do the best for their children. It can
Mhm.
be overprotecting, which is not helpful to the child. So this is just to raise awareness. So as parents, we know that overprotecting our children, we are not helping them, because there'll be a point in time when these children will face big life challenges. And there'll be a point where the parent will not be there to save the child. Or it can get to the other point where the child might come to the realization that the parent has not been doing them any justice.
Yep.
And then it might impact the relationship, because the child will hold some grudges against the parent that, oh, you protected me from this, you didn't give me the experience to learn this, da 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 da. So it goes back to the first point that I said, us as parents, let us give our children the opportunity to explore, but with guidance, and make the home an open environment. It doesn't mean, like, out of respect, children will not want to share everything because there's so much going on. Because
Mm.
just look at your own um early years when you were younger. What things did you share with your parents? It's not everything that you shared. So it's similar to our children. But like for me, what I say is, it's fine if any of my children doesn't want to share something with me. But what I
Mm.
promote is sibling relationship. And in my family, that is working so well, because if one of my children has something, they feel that talking to me is too much, they'll speak to one of their siblings, or all the children will know except me, though sometimes they'll come and tell me at some point, but they'll sort out the problem. So is to encourage that sibling relationship, so they can honest ones, not just
Mhm.
the fake ones. Yeah, I think I'll stop there for now.
Absolutely. No, what you kind of hit on some really potential nails there, very, very important. One thing when you were talking, I think the first thing that came into mind, Nelly, was in fact the starting journey, first of all. Because even yes, although we live in a society where it is out there, things are out there that are making us scared and we worry for our children, where do we want to focus first? We want to focus in that home, the house. And whether it is in a household where there are the two parents in, or a single parent in, what is the health of that home? That is the first thing. Because when you were talking from my background as a domestic abuse practitioner, you first of all, in my head, I was just picturing that child, first of all, growing in that broken home. That home where there is no peace, there is no joy, that home where their fears, their emotions are already tampered with within that home. In that home, there maybe one child is trying to be the protector, one child is becoming is used as a scapegoat, and that is where they start to grapple. They, of course, as they begin to grow in that same environment, that is where you begin to see how getting into teenagehood, they're trying to fight with the identity. They're trying to, who are they? They're trying to understand first about what is happening within that home. How can I do to protect mom? What can I do to do, again, whether mom or dad, which side? So that is a point where our children are already more or less broken, and then now they're navigating, going into a war where it's got its own challenges. So I think we need to, first of all, as a way of reducing that fear for our children and maybe helping them to actually navigate successfully, is first of all, we need to protect the health of the home, which I think you mentioned that we need to protect the health of that home. And yes, although we, even the way we treat our children, or the way we may make the atmosphere, the home, very conducive, our children may still not want to tell us everything. And come on, just like you say, it's not everything that they're going to say. But have we given them the knowledge and the guidance enough for them to make an informed decision, even if they don't tell us? The values and the principles that we've laid in that home, are they enough to, for that child to be able to, for it to guide them in their own path? because there comes a point in time where all we can do is instill in them some values and principles. They may even get to a point where they dish some of those values or dish some of the principles, but at least there's some underlying fundamental ones that at least they will carry those principles with them. And that can help them into navigating the journey into this chaotic world. That those are the principles that when they get into a point where maybe the wall is dragging them to go left, which they know that that path is wrong, that principle can tell them that no, I need to go right because it is wrong. So it's about, first of all, instilling those fundamental principles in them. And then another thing that when you were talking, it came to mind again was the fact that um it just slipped my mind now. It just slipped my mind. Yes. So another thing, yes, we're talking about trying to protect that sibling, because again that is another I always say maybe that is the fundamental great wonderful element that you can give your children, where they can create a bond among themselves, where if one person is sad, the other person knows about it or they can share with the other person. Sometimes they may not necessarily come to us, Nelly, because they don't want to tell us, but they're scared. They want to protect us. They feel that if they tell us certain things, it's going to hurt our own feelings, especially in a single household, like when they like if it's a single parenting, the parents they feel like, you know what, if I go tell mom or dad this thing, I might hurt their feelings. So I would just like want to deal with it. So, but the good thing is that even if they don't tell us, at least they've discussed it with among their siblings. And then another important thing again that we need to let our children know is connect them to the right sources of support. I always say introduce them to the right sources of support. At least let them know that if they get stuck in one way or another and they feel that they cannot approach us, at least they know who to approach, and let it be the right source of support. So those are things that are very, very important. In that way, it can reduce that fear of our children navigating into, navigating their life into this chaotic world. So yeah, I don't know whether Nelly, you wanted to
Yeah,
add something to that before we move.
yeah. Fear is the number one cause of suffering.
Yeah.
So, if we as parents, we transfer or we project our insecurities onto our children and we
Mm-hmm.
prevent our children from exploring and learn to problem solve,
Yeah.
that will be damaging to children.
Yeah.
So, if we teach our children to problem solve,
Yes.
we've done ourselves a big favor and our children a big favor because, okay, just think about it. In the morning, our children get up and they go to school. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have a clue what happens from the house to school and while in school and when they get back home. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine if we don't teach our children how to problem solve and
Yeah.
anything goes wrong, what are they going to do at that time?
Mm-hmm.
And they might make an unknown decision at the time that might impact them for the rest of their lives. I'll give you an example. I like telling stories. So, one of my children, when they were in primary school, they used to go to school and they were being bullied.
Mm.
Unfortunately, when they were being bullied, they were the ones getting in trouble because when they got really agitated and reacted, the teacher only saw his own side of it and not the
Yeah.
other child who provoked.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was picking him from school, he would be crying. I said, oh, who is that? You don't need to shed tears for anyone. I said,
Mm.
listen, you are my child. I am feeding you properly, which means you are a strong human being. I said, I don't want you to go to school fighting because even at home, fighting is not allowed. I said, Bird, when you go to school, tell those children who are bullying you that you don't tell them how you feel and
Yeah.
tell them that you know that you are strong and it is you are making a choice not
Yeah.
to hurt them because you can as well hurt them, but you are being aware and you don't want to hurt them. But if they get to the point where he will have to hurt them, they'll end up in the hospital. That was in primary school.
Mm.
So, because he knew that hitting was not allowed. So, he went to school the first day. When he was being bullied, he told the children, but they laughed at him that, oh, it's just empty. So, he came back, told me, but this time he didn't cry. He was like, but I talked about it and I felt much better. So, he went the next day. This child bullied again, calling him names and saying all sorts of things. He still won that child. The next day, the same thing. Then, one other day, they provoked him. It got to the stage where, they say it got to the
Yeah.
level where,
Yeah.
and he hit this other child, and the child was bleeding. But the good thing is, there was playground assistant who
Yeah.
was there on this fateful day, and she saw everything that happened because my son was walking away, but this other child kept on following him. So that child got in trouble. The child who was punched got in trouble because even the playground assistant had told him to leave my son alone. So in a way, I didn't tell him to fight, but I told him that he needs
Yeah.
to stand up for himself. And
Yeah.
he had been very, very patient until it got to the point where, imagine, I was not there. He was
Yeah.
in school, I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
Decided on what to do.
Yeah.
And that day, all the bullying stopped till he finished primary school and went to high school.
Yeah.
So I'm just bringing that as an aspect for us to teach our children how to problem solve because there'll always be problems. Not to focus on the problems. I mean, just overlook the problem or look into the problem, but don't stay there. Ask yourself, what can you do? What is the solution to that problem? Because majority of people stay thinking about the problem rather than looking for solutions.
Absolutely. That is so true. And that just again goes to one of the to what that's really a good story to link it to one of the worries that parents have, which is bullying. A lot of parents, when I speak to parents with to parents, they are so worried about bullying in school. They're worried about bullying not just in school, their children, they cannot even allow their children to walk out there safely because they're scared who is going to attack their children and all of that. And one thing that, just like you say, is about educating these children. Do not, do not, how do you say? Don't be scared. Like I always say, we need to instill confidence in them. It's not about somebody bullies you and then you go into a shell. The more you show your vulnerability, the more it empowers bullies. If you know who bullies are, bullies feed off your vulnerability. They want to see whether you're weak, and sometimes I always say it's about standing up if it is safe to do so. And before you even stand up, I always say, make sure you go to your office. Like I always tell my son, there was one time, same similar story. There was one time that he came on and said there's this group of children, this group of guys who were bullying. I think they were bullying not just him, but his group of friends, his clustered friends. So one day I said to him, I said, you know what? You will need to go to school. When you go to school, go to your teacher. Tell your teacher about that person or that group of guys who are doing that. and let them know how you feel, because it's all about that feeling. That sometimes when we hide our emotions, people take it for granted, and they may just sweep it under the carpet because they don't know how hurting we are. So it's very, very important, first of all, is to instill that confidence in that child to say, what, stand for yourself, be confident in yourself, know who you are. It's about drawing out that identity in from those children, knowing who they are, so that they can be able to speak up without chickening out or without being scared. And when they do that, just like if your son did not do that, God knows how long that bullying would have gone. And like you say, sometime in school, the teachers, I don't know how they do it, whether they do selective what, they will always see but the other side. When the bully is bullying the victim, they don't see it. But when the victim responds, that's when they see it. So yes, it's very important. Bullying, we live in a society where, unfortunately, I wish everybody could train their child at home to say, what, do not bully, do not hurt other people, do not hurt another person. But unfortunately, not all homes have the values or the principles that we have. Some homes are horrible, and some of the parents may be projecting to their children what they themselves as parents went through. And for in their eyes, it is normal. And they're projecting it onto their children, and their children is learning those bad behaviors to go out there in the community. So again, it's about, yes, we cannot avoid it altogether. We wish we could, but we can't. But how do we manage it? It's all about, just like you say, making our children know who they are, let them speak up, let them defend themselves. Self-defense is okay. It's a right. We all have the right to self-defense. So it's about letting them. Your child took up to here, and she couldn't handle it anymore. And of course, she defended himself. So yeah, so that's one thing that we need to, as parents, to be able to. And one thing that I just want to say, Nelly, is that sometimes even what our children are watching us, they are either watching the chicken in us, or they are watching the lion in us, or the lioness in us. And I mean lion in the side of, not the negative side, but the bold, the confident us, right? Or whichever way the way we act, the way we react, or the way we interact with people in the community, our children are watching. Do we stand up for ourselves? Do we say no when we mean no? Do we say stop when we need to say stop? So these are some of the things that we as parents need to be practicing as well, so that these are things that our children are watching, whichever way we want to. If we want to raise up weak children, we can. If we want to raise up confident children, we also can. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. There were, I mean, really powerful points there. One that I just want to talk about is the role models. So,
Mhm.
like you said, children or human beings are very manipulative. And in that
Mm,
process of manipulation, children, because they're still very pure in essence, they
mhm,
notice a lot. So you talked about the chicken and the lion in us or in parents.
mm,
Yes, because children are pure in essence at their tender ages. They can read a lot of energies, they can read the differences in parents, which is why
mhm,
just reflect back when you were younger. There were
mhm,
certain things that you will ask from your mom, you will ask from your dad, you will ask from this auntie, from that uncle, from that neighbor. Why did you choose to ask for particular things from different people? So it's
mm.
because you have taken notice of the chicken or the lioness. You know that if
Yeah.
you go to probably auntie or grandma or grandpa to ask for this particular thing, they will not say no. They'll always
Yeah.
give you. So our children are the same because they are with
Mhm,
us day in, day out. they observe, and children learn through observation. Because they don't say it doesn't mean they don't notice. They
Yeah.
know fully well. Even sometimes when parents react, children know why they have reacted
Yeah.
the way they've done.
Yeah.
And it goes back to our first point that we talked about, that sometimes because children know their parents too well,
Mm-hmm.
they might avoid explaining or disclosing certain things to them because first they have already judged that their parent lack an understanding of that particular aspect. So
Yeah.
if they tell them, the parents will say, oh, you'll be fine, or just do this, just do that, just do that, because this is how I've been doing it and it's been working. But it doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
anyway, is for us parents to be the role models for our children. And
Yeah.
like you said, let us create a nurturing environment and help our children to build up their own personality, their own identity, and not
Mm-hmm.
us to portray a certain kind of identity onto our children that doesn't fit, because it gives the children identity crisis because they
Yeah.
have that inner conflict, and then they feel very reluctant to come talk to the parents that this is what I've identified myself with or as, and so they'll keep it to themselves. This one again links to the mental and emotional health because most of them are interlinked. So
Yeah.
then the child will be very selective. But if we make the home a nurturing environment by first of all demonstrating us talking about our emotional health, mental health, then the children will pick up as well. They'll know that, oh, it's okay. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling this way, I can talk about it. It's not like if they talk about it, they will not be listened to or they will not be understood. It will just
Yeah.
become part and parcel of that household that they can talk about their emotions. So it's to create that nurturing home environment to help our children build up on the identity, because regardless of the identity that we impose on our children, it will get to a point where their true identity will come up. The children, out of respect, they might want to disguise their real identity and portray the identity that the parents expect of them. But then in a way, parents are pushing their children to be living a double life,
Mm.
which is not helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like we say is what you said there is all about there was one time when we were talking, it just reminded me one time when my son told me that he was having brain fog. He was having brain fog. And I was trying to ask him to explain to me what it means by having brain fog. And he's saying that he forgets things. Like if he wanted to go to school, he will forget maybe his PE kit, or he will forget these, or if somebody tells him something, the next minute he can't remember it. And I was trying to say to him, I said, you know, because he was trying to make it feel that yeah, he said it was a mental health thing, you know. And just like you said, Nelly, there's sometimes that we parents, first of all, would like be defensive and say, no, 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 that's not mental health. Brain fog, I forget things as well, and all of that, and all of that. But he kept on repeating it, repeating that, Mom, I'm having brain fog. But then what I did is that each time he comes up from school, I'll ask him, how was your day? He'll tell me. I said, can you tell me what happened in school today? And he would tell me all his subjects. He would tell me that first period he learned this, in math he learned those so and so and so, in English it was so and so and so. He would narrate everything. And then I'll be thinking, but how is this child saying that he's got brain fog when he can tell me what, you know? So what one thing I noticed is that the reason why in fact, and it got to a point where I said to him that can I ask help from the school? He said, no, he doesn't want me to speak to school because it's going to be embarrassing. I said, okay, that's fine. It's okay. And then I said, do you know who to contact if you really want to? We went and saw the GP twice. And the GP said, he didn't see anything like anything serious in what he was saying. But then he said we should keep a log, we should keep a log of the time that he forgets, right? So one thing I noticed is that brain fog issue was apparently because when I tell him to do something at home, when I come back, that thing is not done. It's not done. And then when I ask him, why didn't you do that thing? He said he forgot. So maybe that's why the brain fog. So the brain fog was only happening because when it comes to the chores that he had to do at home, and then he forgets, and then he's saying that anyway, down the line, he ended up calling Childline. He rang Childline one day, and then he explained it to Childline. And all they said is that, you know what, it is normal, it's okay. So they said to him, if you're forgetting, why can't you start writing it down? Like if there was something that you had to do, jot it down, which is the same thing I said to him, write it down, keep a diary, I'm going to do this. So that at the end of the day, you go on that your list and check, have you done them? Because as I showed him my diary, I said, look, this is why I keep my diary, because I can't remember everything. So you can see again, these are things that sometimes when it comes to that mental health aspect, this is just a minor thing, but there may be crucial, like, serious issues that our children may be raising. And sometimes it is easy to invalidate or just discard it, to say, no, that is normal. Sometimes it's always good to give that listening ear. In fact, always give that listening ear. And if we feel that we are not confident enough or we are incapable or cannot deal with it properly, then we can always signpost. It's okay, it's absolutely fine to signpost, or even if that child is old enough, give them the contact to say, you know what, you can contact this so and so person, and then explain to them what you're going through, so that they can support you. So I think that's one of the ways that we need to also minimize that fear, around mental health for our children. We ourselves need to get the support, get all the contacts, mental health, all the contacts that there are free agencies out there, government lines that you can call with in different crises. We need to be aware of those lines, those numbers, so that we can be able to support our kids, give those numbers to our kids. If there is need for it, then yes, they can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Having those numbers is really, really important. And it's a way we are helping ourselves and helping our children to take minor responsibilities as well. And making it a habit to have regular conversations with our children is very important, because there are certain things that we take for granted until when it gets really bad, then probably we might not even realize it. But it's good habit, like you asking how your child's day was. It's a good habit, not just when he was complaining of the brain fog, but just make it a daily habit. Like when you come back, or when they come back from school, just ask, how was your day, and things like that. You are creating that open conversation, that you talk, they can talk about their day, you two can just share a bit about your own day. So then when you do that for some time, it just becomes automatic, because you've been doing it for such a long time. And even if they're coming back from school with something that they're really angry about, as they come, they know that, oh yeah, home is a safe place. I can talk about it when I get home, and they'll just offload and offload, because
Yeah.
sometimes it could be worries in school, it could be pressure from peers and all whatnot. But when they know that home is that safe place, then they'll come and they'll offload at home. Just while we're talking about school, I think one worry that I have as a parent is education and future career for children, not just my children, for children in general.
Mhm.
So there are two things here. The educational system, and looking at the Afro-Caribbean community, our children, we've talked about the bullying, and there's sometimes probably parents not understanding the educational system, so they don't
Mhm.
follow through. Some parents don't even know what is going on with their children in school. Some don't even attend parents' evening. They don't get the progress of their children apart from the end of their assessments, when they've done assessments and they send the report. So the parents are not actively involved with their children's education. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you read all the notes that the children have or all their revision books, but show an interest show an interest in it, because you as parents, you have the parental responsibility. If it comes to like signing of documents or buying some books and all whatnot, you are
Mhm.
the one to buy them. So if you are not showing any concern about that, or if you are not getting involved, then there'll be minor things that you will miss, and the child might not feel comfortable in school. And those can be some of the things that other children can pick up on on our children, as
Mhm.
their targets for bullying. And
Yeah.
then the other one is the career growth. So what I've seen in my role as a coach, as a life coach, is a lot of both adults and younger adults, they come to me saying that they are in jobs that they don't like. And the common reason I hear is my parents wanted me to do this. Some are at the uni. They said their parents
Mm.
wanted them to do this. And growing up, we know that it was very common that your parents want their children to become either lawyers, doctors, teachers, what else? I think those are the three common
I
ones
think that
that we have.
engineers.
Engineers, yeah. But it won't work for everyone. I remember a
Yeah.
story of an influencer who said her parents wanted her to be a doctor. She is a Nigerian. She left, her parents sent her to the UK to study. They paid for her fee to study. But she came, she said, you know what, it's not working for me. So she stopped going to uni. And what she enjoyed doing was comedy. So she got into comedy. And there, when you get into something that is yours, you
Yeah.
really feel alive. So she was really enjoying it. So her parents had been waiting for her graduation. So she was like, she had to broke the news to the parents before the so-called graduation. So the parents came over and met her, and she was just honest because she said there was nothing else she could do. And she told the
Mhm.
parents that she's not going to uni, she'll never become a doctor, but she is a comedian. And she invited the parents to one of her shows. Obviously, the
Mm.
parents were very, very disappointed. The parents, when attended, she said, just the look on their eyes when she was on stage, she avoided the parents. She avoided making eye contact with the parents because she could sense the anger and the disappointment in the parents. But then she was doing that over and over and over, and it got to a point where they had to accept her for who she is.
Yeah.
So, why I brought that up is, as parents, let's encourage our children to make a choice of their career, of their future careers, because everyone has a purpose.
Mm.
When we encourage our children to know their purpose, they will be working towards that purpose. But when we take our insecurities and project onto our children to say, you must be a doctor because I did not have the opportunity to be a doctor,
Mm.
why are we taking our lives and imposing on our children? It will make children, now when they're older, adults, they'll be in jobs that they don't like. And it's not surprising that a research was done and it is 85% of people are not happy in their jobs. But then if we encourage children to get into jobs that or careers that they like, then it will be helpful for them because they'll be doing what they really like. It's like
Yeah.
today, my son was like, because I'd been asking him, what do you want to do when you get to college? He was like, Mom, I don't know. So today he just came back from school and he was like, Mom, I've thought of what I want to do in high school. I was like, okay, what do you want to do? He said, I want to do philosophy. I was like, okay. I said, what career do you get when you do philosophy? And he was like, I don't know. I said, oh, if you have an interest in philosophy, find out what philosophy is. And then you
Yeah.
find out what the career is. So it's for him to start looking into it because probably that's his own thing. I do not know, and I will never know until he gets into it. So
Yeah.
it's for us to encourage them to explore and get
Yeah.
into what suits them because
Yeah.
that will tie in with their purpose and they'll have more job satisfaction if that is in alignment with their life purpose.
That is so true, Nelly. And the career thing is one of the biggest. If I say that is one of the most depressing time that I ever had was the worry of what my daughter wanted to do at the time when she was trying to decide what she wanted to do. Initially, I had already talked her through. We did kind of like assessment for me to kind of find out what she really wanted to do. And she had already told me that she loved working with people, like she likes working with the community. And so she had already told me that upon all the scales, the marks that we scored, I use what I usually use mostly with my clients when I'm using that. So there's mark what she scored herself. It all pointed towards community support, or I mean social work and that sort of thing. So she she started her application well and then she loved sociology and even psychology. She loved it so much. And that was the direction that she wanted to go. And then as she was applying for her degree, she wanted to do psychology. And then, you don't know, for some reason, again, she had a conversation with the dad. The dad, of course, comes from the financial side, does accounting and all of that. And I think the dad kind of like also tried to just open her mind to see the other side of finances, of finance and accounting, what are the job prospects and all of that. And then she came back and said, oh, she wants to do accounting and finance. I said, okay, great. Do you want to do accounting? Can you tell me the reason why you want to do it? And again, she gave me her reasons. And then all I could hear was the money side. She was now focusing on the money side. And then I was like, hang on, all I've been hearing is about the money side. You haven't told me about the passion side. Is it really what you want? Is it really what you... And then I think again that the conversation with the dad was still pulling, that force was still pulling her. She did apply, which I encouraged her. I said, okay, go. If that is what you really want, go for it. Go for it. Just make sure you do your application. Of course, ask that. That is going to help you to write your statement and all of that, which she did. And the last minute, I think she had 3 days to submitting her application. My daughter came back that day crying. She burst and was crying. I was like, I'm confused. Why are you crying? She said, Mom, I made the wrong decision. I said, what decision now? Which wrong decision? He said, she just said, I don't want to do financing, accounting and finance. I said, why? She said that's when she started explaining that no, she doesn't really want. She has reflected about it. It doesn't feel her and all of that and all of that. Anyway, cutting the long story short, so in the end, I said to her, okay, which one now do you want to pursue? She said, psychology. I want to do psychology. I said, are you confident you want to do it? She said, yes. I said, does it come from your heart? She said, yes. I said, go for it. And then that is when she had to adjust, do a few of edit, and then she sent it, and which she loves. She loves her psychology, and she's going down the mental health nursing route, So again, like you said, it is very, very important for us to let them feel it, allow them to feel it, let it come from within them. Because if we push them, hadn't been she struggled to do the accounting and finance and then got to a point and hated it, you know how are we going to feel, as parents? So again, this is very, very important. Even my first son, I used to say, no, I want to see you graduate, I would love to come to your graduation. And he just decided to choose it. He decided his own path, and pursuing his own path, and he's loving it. Loving. At the end of the day, we all want them to be successful, responsible citizens. That's all we want. Healthy, happy, loving what they do. That is a career, whatever. As parents, we don't need to be putting those pressure on them. Let them just flow. Let them flow. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are having a different mindset around this because there's still majority of parents who are
Mm,
still imposing on their children what they want their children to do in future.
mm,
Because some parents justify that they are the ones paying for the children and all whatnot, that they have the parental responsibility, they have to decide what is good for the children, and then they keep pushing. And you realized, or what I have realized is the push that comes from parents that focus on the fame, the name,
mm,
the money side of it, because you talked about money, the money side of it.
mm,
And when you look at a lot of the careers now, people go into career not because of the passion.
mm,
Some go into careers because it's paying really high. But then, yes, you can go there for a few years or a few months. You have that money, but you don't have that satisfaction. What next? So then
mm.
you've wasted a few of your years or a few weeks or months of your life, which you will never recover. So I think it is down to parents if they can. There's a lot that parents need to change.
Yeah.
Is the mindset, to change their mindset, because parents, a lot of scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
limiting beliefs, that they want their children to continue in that same line, whereas
Mhm,
they themselves are not happy. But they say
mhm,
they want their children to be happy with that same system. It doesn't
mm.
work. So
It
someone
doesn't.
needs to change something somewhere if we
Yeah.
want our children's future career to be what they really like.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So that is it. And we're talking about, especially, that brings us nicely even to another biggest fear, which of course we all know, which is the AI that is coming, right? AI is threatening jobs, is threatening this. They say it's going to do that. They say it's going to do that. And then sometimes, to be honest with you, as a parent, I sit and I ask myself, it's like, in 10 years, 20 years, what's the world going to be like? And I'm thinking, the children, what are they going to be doing, and how this going? So these are some of the fears that, again, as it's cropping up, we can't help but we need to also be learning as well, just so that at least, and to be honest with you, the kids, they obviously know more than we do. There was one time I was asking myself about this high, what do you think about AI? He just looked at me and laughed. He looked at me and laughed. I bet he was just like, what do you mom know about it? So this is so important, because again, we're talking about career. Let them, they can see ahead in terms of when it comes to technology, right? Or it comes to, like, they know. Our kids, sometimes they already know that, yes, if I do this, if I do that, projecting the way it is going, the way they the war, how to put it, the way the war is going or the way technology is going, this is where I can find myself in the next one, and so and so they know these things. And sometimes we as parents, we just need to support them, give them our support and guide them in the best way we can, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be us. I might be, sometimes I say to myself, in the next, I might be in one retirement home or in one care home somewhere. It is your future. It is your future. I'm not going to be there to do that job for you. So this is where you need to embrace what you want to do.
You know, yeah, with all this, with all the AI, what I know is AI can replace everything, but it will never ever replace emotions. Because we as human beings, we are emotional beings, and we need to experience the life. So regardless of AI or no AI has its own part to play. Humans have their own part to play.
Yeah.
If you align with your purpose, whether with or without AI,
Yeah.
you will live life more fulfilled than just
Yeah.
following the dream out there that I want. Because looking now, like getting on social media, there's a lot of salesy things online that I can do this, you'll have so much money, and it's all about the money. And that is the direction that people are going to. There's so many people in many different jobs, but ask about the job satisfaction. People do it because of the money and because people want fame, because it is getting to the way I'm saying it, as if you don't have money, you can't have a voice.
Yeah.
But that's not how it's meant to be.
No, no.
And
And
then
that is why, Nelly, you can see that why the world, it is very easy to make money. You can see that the amount of billionaire millionaires, like, you can make money. If you want to make money, you can make money just like that. But ask yourself, if money was the ultimate goal and money gave happiness, ask yourself, why is it that the world we are we are the world, even majority of people are even more depressed. In fact, talk about the millionaires and the billionaires. They are hiding, they are running away from their own shadows, they're running away from their own emotions. So this is why we say at the end of the day, it's not about the money. I always say it's just like a post that I put up the other day, because this week I was celebrating my birthday, and because I was so happy, like celebrating my birthday, dancing left, right, center, somebody told me that, which man is making you so happy? I bet that man is giving you a lot of money. So it was so funny. It was so funny, and that is why I put up the post. I said, a woman must not be solely happy. I mean, a woman's happiness is not solely dependent on a man. A woman can be happy for many reasons. And I say, there's one thing that from the day I found my purpose, who I was born to be and what I was born to be on this earth, that has given me the happiness and satisfaction that money cannot buy. Money cannot buy. And that is why sometimes I may be broke and don't have even a penny, but I'm still happy. You know why? Because that day I might get up in a day. I'll tell you, sometimes I come back at home and my kids will be asking me, Mom, how was your day? I was like, my day has been so busy. If I tell you, maybe 60% of that day I spent it helping someone in line with my purpose. And that day, the happiness or something, a difference that I would have made in the life of that person, that is just done. That was just enough for me. Just enough for me. I don't need billions in my account. Yes, if you give me the billions, I'll take. But but that is not what determines our happiness. So, like you said, Nelly, Purpose is very, very important. In fact, there's a course that I do, which is I call it Purpose Pathway, because I know the importance of finding our purpose, as especially as parents. Our purpose. I always say we did not come to this world to just give birth to children and become wives or husbands. No, God put us on this planet Earth for a particular reason, and it's important to find that purpose and live that purpose. And when we find our purpose, Nelly, we are also guiding our children in a way, encouraging them to find their purpose, and that reduces our worry about them and the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Peggy, for those wonderful points. I just hope that everyone watching is taking some notes, because there are just so many important points that we've discussed here today, and just being mindful of the time. I think, Peggy, you'll just round up and then we'll finish for tonight.
So thank you everybody for watching, whether you're going to be watching after or I think we have really covered some pertinent points, in fact worries, that we as parents we've talked about. We worry about their mental health, about the mental health of our children. We've talked about, we worry about, again, bullying in school. And again, we've talked about strategies for that. How what can we do to support them to deal with that? We've talked about it. We've also talked about, career, educational system and career pathway for our children. And again, we've talked about what can we do as parents to help our children find the right career pathway for them. Again, we've talked about culture. Have we talked about culture? We've talked about it. Again, I think that's one point that we did not make mention of, which I think cultural aspect is that we live in a society where the society of today is culturally different from our own upbringing, where we come from. And to be honest with you, there's some certain culture or certain cultural practices, positive good ones, that we would like our children to emulate, because we can see the benefit of those cultural practices. So again, it's about making sure that we instill some good principles at home, cultural principles, whether biblical principle, whichever one we want to instill at home, that can help those children as they navigate their path in life. And did I miss anyone, Nelly? We talked about.
Parents to be role models for our children,
Yes.
create a nurturing environment, and help our children to identify, to build a good sense of their identity. And for
Mhm.
parents not to be imposing their fears or projecting their desires onto our children, is to help
Mhm.
them know what they want, and that ties in with their purpose. And
Yeah.
be a good example to problem solve, so that our children can develop a good sense of problem solve, or this good skill of problem solving, because we'll not be there with them all the time. So I
Yeah.
think you've summarized it really, really well, Peggy.
Yeah,
And thanks for
and
doing that.
absolutely. And one just to say one thing, that even as we round up, as parents, let us know that there'll always be fear. There'll always be worry. Worry is an emotion. Fear is an emotion, and they all have their good side and bad side. The important thing is, when we worry or we're fearful, what do we do with it? What's the next action? Do we dwell on it, or do we get up and find a way to get out of it? Worry becomes a problem when we sit on it and ruminating on it. That is when it takes a toll of us. But when we worrying is about telling you that I need to find a way to solve this problem. So let us not be worried about, yes, we have fears and we have worried about the future for our children. But like Nelly and I have said, it's about finding the solution. Let us educate ourselves. Let us open our minds, you know, embrace knowledge, whatever thing it needs that we need to know, so that we can support our children in the right way. Signpost our children. We need to learn to signpost our children to the right sources of support, so we know that we're not dealing with these challenges only by ourselves. We have professionals who can deal with it and help us in that journey. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we just want the best for our children and also the best for ourselves. Because, mind you, whether we like it or not, if our children are happy, we as parents, we are happy. Yes, and that is what we want. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you watch later and maybe you have a question or have some point or maybe your own suggestion to add, please feel free to add it because Nelly and I will always be watching and reading the comments. So yeah, so I hope you learned something from it. And yeah, Nelly, anything from you before we close for
No,
today?
I just want to thank you all for today's session. Like Peggy has said, if you are watching after, just put your comment. And like we have said all the times that we've been having these sessions, that we would like you to join us on this panel and not just the two of us, because this life is all about learning and growing. You might have your experience and you think that, oh, it's just me. I don't want to share that because of whatever reason. But you might be surprised that when you share the way you dealt with a particular problem, someone might be somewhere struggling with exactly that same problem that you have a solution to. So
Yeah.
this life is about sharing our experiences so that we can learn, and we in turn learn from others. So thank you so much for today, and I wish you a very nice weekend, restful weekend, and see you next time. Bye bye. Bye.